If you've ever trained hard, eaten clean, and you still can't get lean, you are not lazy or undisciplined. But after 8 years of coaching successful men, I still see many guys get stuck in one of 3 zones, and they don't even know it. However, once you know what zone you are in, you'll know how to break under 20% body fat and get 6-pack lean, just like my clients. First, let me show you the zone that makes your body resist losing fat altogether, no matter how hard you try. So you've probably tried eating clean, like Greek yogurt, salmon and broccolini, cutting bread, sticking to salads, training 4 to 5 days a week, but your sleep is trash. Stress is always high, cravings are poking at you all day, and as a result, the belly is not budging. So this is not a discipline issue, it's a nervous system overload. Because when your body is stuck in a sympathetic, stressed state, the body will begin to push back with things like more cortisol, which is a stress hormone, and keeping that elevated is going to keep the body more inflamed. Your insulin resistance will increase, and this increases blood sugar, which makes it easier to store more body fat, even if you're trying to lose it. Your leptin, which is your I'm full hormone, will decrease, making you feel hungrier even after eating. And it feels like the fat is just hanging on for survival for its dear life. Now, this is a tough topic that most men don't really want to talk about or hear, and I didn't take this seriously for most of my life either, until it wrecked my gut and my mindset. Now, yes, you technically cannot gain more body fat if you're in a true deficit. But this first zone we're talking about now will shrink that deficit, making it harder. And that is because you will be burning fewer calories, you will be retaining more water, your digestion will slow down, and you will unconsciously eat more food. So this is why when guys try to push harder, it will usually backfire sooner or later. Either you get sick, you get injured, you burn out with low energy and fatigue, or you just lose motivation and quit because the results are so slow that you feel like nothing's working. So the fix is not more training or restrict the diet. Don't resort to these initially. If you're in this zone, what your body needs is more time in a parasympathetic state, also known as a more relaxed state. And no, I'm not going to give you some silly biohack. What I'm about to explain is not fancy, but it always works. And if you're about to say,
"Oh, I already know what this is not new,"
well, ask yourself this: are you actually doing it? And here's what I'm talking about. Spending 7.5 to 8 hours in bed so you get at least 5 1.5 hour sleep cycles. That would be approximately 7.5 hours of sleep to be optimal. Getting less stimulation from technology, more quiet walks, taking off the headphones, getting more sunlight, less screen time before bed. Cutting out caffeine before or by 2 p.m. to avoid blocking your sleep hormones. Avoiding the grinding culture. No one truly cares how much money or how many houses or how many cars you have. Stop pushing yourself into a highly stressed state every day just to pursue bigger goals. Have more rest days than training days so that your body can actually heal and recover. Stay hydrated every single day because being dehydrated is stressful on the body. And minimize alcohol, which trashes your sleep. I'm not saying you have to completely cut it out, but if you minimize it, you're not going to ruin your sleep and you're not going to dehydrate your body. And stop maxing out in the gym when you're already maxed out in your life and your work. So once your system calms down, losing body fat becomes much simpler and easier to maintain. But if stress and recovery are not your issue and you are getting good sleep and your body is still not dropping body fat, you might be stuck in zone 2, which we're about to explain. So you may be sleeping better or even good. Your stress is under control and you are training regularly. You've probably cut out junk food and you stop snacking at night and your meals look healthy and pretty clean most of the time. So it feels like you're doing everything the right way, but the belly's not shrinking, the love handles aren't going away, and your chest is still hanging onto some body fat. This is called the guessing zone. So you think you should be losing body fat because you think you're in a deficit, but you're not. Because you can eat all the Greek yogurt, the salmon and veggies and eggs and salads that you want, but these clean foods are still packing calories. And it's easy to overshoot your target without you even realizing it. For example, 1 tablespoon of olive oil is 120 calories. Imagine drizzling oil all over your food. That could be hundreds of calories you didn't account for. A big handful of nuts could be up to 200 calories. You think it's a healthy snack, but it's loading up your body with more energy that you might not be burning off. A clean smoothie that's loaded with all kinds of berries and fruits and nuts and seeds and whatever could be up to 500 or 700 calories. And a clean and healthy looking poke bowl could blow out your whole day up to 800 calories. These foods are not bad. I'm not saying they're bad not to eat them, but if you're not measuring them properly, you will easily overshoot your target because you think that I'm eating healthy and it's fine and it's good and I'm losing fat, but you're not seeing the calories that are actually in the healthy food that are taking you out of a fat loss state. And another problem here is trusting your fitness device, whether it's an Apple Watch or an Oura Ring, a Fitbit, Garmin, it doesn't matter, there's 1,000 different brands, and trusting it to tell you that you can eat more food because it said, hey, you burnt 300 calories, and now you think, oh, I can go and eat 300 calories. But a Stanford University study showed that fitness trackers can overestimate calories or underestimate somewhere between 27 and up to 93%. Now, the fact is, our food calories that we eat are measured in a laboratory. They're not measured on a fitness watch. So even though the fitness watch says you've burned 100 calories, it's not the same 100 calories that is on your plate.
Don't bring it over quite yet. Get ready. All right. Bring it over and hit him. Hit it and hold it there. All right.
Unfortunately, we can't equally measure both of them because the way that food calories are measured is not possible for us to do unless we have a laboratory that can do that. But we do have a fitness tracker, so we want to keep them separate because if we don't, we could easily think, hey, I've burnt 400 calories. I can go eat a meat pie or a donut or whatever it is, and you've just blown that budget out of the water for the day, thinking that you haven't because the fitness watch said you burn that many calories. So here's what you can focus on instead to escape this guessing zone 2. Firstly, it's very important that you pre-track or at least post-track your meals in any kind of app. I recommend MyFitnessPal just because they have a huge database and it's always worked for me. So, if it's not broken, don't fix it. And all it takes is like 3 to 4 minutes, if that, to pre-track your meals for the next day. Second thing is you can hit your calorie and protein targets as the priority. You don't have to be super clean with everything you eat, but if you prioritize your calorie and protein, then that'll keep you in a deficit, losing body fat more consistently, whether you eat healthy, somewhat healthy, or even somewhat junk food. If it fits, you'll be okay. Stop adjusting your food intake based on your workout calorie burn because we've already spoke about this. It's really about sticking to your budget for calorie burn and sticking to your budget for your food calories and treating them separate. Track for 7 days straight just to see what is actually going on and that you're not confusing or second guessing yourself. And one thing that makes all this easier is sticking to similar breakfasts and lunches, like minimizing your options so that you can systemize this and simplify your life with accurate data and consistency. Because if you're always eating different food every day, it's going to be a bitch to track it and figure out what's accurate, what's correct, and to be able to measure it. And if you're eating out, it gets even more complicated. So really do your best to simplify it down. Narrow your breakfast to 1 or 2 options. Narrow your lunch to 1 or 3. And your dinners, they tend to repeat week to week anyway. So if you can just reduce the options, it's going to make this whole fat loss process much easier. And once you do these steps, you will see exactly where the problem is. So once you are in a real deficit and you know it, progress will become consistent and predictable and maintainable for the long term. But even if you've got this part dialed in, there's still one more sneaky zone that will store your results sooner or later. And that's in zone 3. So even if you are sleeping great, even if you are training consistently and you're tracking food and you've lost 5, 10, or even 20 pounds by now, there's a point where fat loss just stalls out and maybe it will fluctuate for a period of time. And this is called the plateau zone. At some point, it catches almost every guy who's doing everything correct. And usually it's not a big problem. It's not worth stressing over. It just means your body is adapting in different ways, which we'll talk about now. Here's what could be happening behind the scenes that you need to investigate. Now that your body is a little bit lighter, your BMR, which stands for your basal metabolic rate or your resting burn, is slightly lower. And over the week, that can mean you're just burning less energy than what you used to burn because you're not carrying around all this extra body fat. Second thing is that your NEAT, your non-exercise activity thermogenesis, basically all of your incidental movement, will decrease without you noticing because you're fidgeting less, you might be standing less, and you might just be moving at a slower pace throughout the day. And this can all be happening unconsciously. It happened to me when I was doing bodybuilding because I was in a deficit for such a long time. My body was slowing me down, which meant I was burning less energy and I was tired. So I was moving less, which meant I was burning less. So my deficit had to shrink more. So this can happen, not particularly for people who just want to get to, 12 to 14% body fat. If you're pushing below 10% body fat, you're really going to feel that decline, but it does have a subtle impact without us realizing, unless we're focusing on our daily calorie burn, which I highly recommend doing as well. Third thing is that your appetite can subtly increase the longer you're in a deficit, which just means you could be eating a bit more food without really noticing, especially if your calorie burn is slightly decreased. You can see how this is going to shrink the deficit sooner or later. So it's kind of like your metabolism will like slightly shift down a gear to conserve energy. And also it's just not spending as much energy because it doesn't have to work as hard to survive anymore. This can also be called metabolic adaptation. And so what used to be quite a big deficit might now be closer to your maintenance zone based on your current burn and output. And this is why guys say, what worked before isn't working now. It's very common and they're absolutely right. But this is not the time to just give up and stop pushing, because after every 10 or 20 pounds or so, most clients I work with will need small little adjustments to keep them burning more fat over the long term. It's totally normal. So here is what I would do next to keep you burning more fat to break out of this plateau zone. Assuming you're in a true plateau zone, I'm going to tell you how to confirm that. The first thing is to recalculate your calorie needs. So you might need a slight drop to increase that deficit again. Very normal. You might need to increase your NEAT, so that extra 2,000 steps per day will add up and will add more burn. For example, if guys are only getting 8,000 steps and you bump that up to 10 or 11,000, that is going to have a positive impact. Tighten up your accuracy. You might need to do another week or two of just weighing everything to make sure that you're not accidentally slipping in unaccounted for calories, or thinking, I only had 2,000 calories, but you actually ate 2,150 or 2,200. It's very easy to make these mistakes if you've been in deficit for long term, because we think we know, but if we stop tracking accurately, we can make small mistakes. And then you want to focus on your biofeedback data. So are your energy levels maintaining? Are they crashing? Are they increasing? Is your sleep improving? Is it consistent? Are you digesting food normally, going to the bathroom and in regular intervals? Is your strength improving in the gym? And is your general just mood and vibe about yourself and life good? Or are you feeling more stressed and kind of beat down? Particularly when it comes into different seasons, people get sick or unwell, whether it's cold or flus and stuff like that. And that can really throw off the numbers for 2-3 weeks at a time. And this is why tracking the biofeedback is important, because it can just show you that it's not that you're doing anything wrong. It's just that something's happened and then the body's adapting, and it's going to take a little bit of time to get you back on a smooth track. And the final thing is to track your photos, tape measurements, and the long-term trends, not just the day-to-day, because the scale is going to delude you. You can get leaner without seeing the scale drop immediately. So please do not fall into this trap of quitting too early, because it's in this zone that you're really setting up the foundations for long-term success. And if you stop here in the plateau, you're going to undo all the good stuff you've just done. We can do everything perfect, but there's stuff outside of life. There's other impacts that we have to adapt to. And the body is also trying to adapt at the same time. So a plateau is not 3 or 4 days of the scale being the same. It's more like a 2 to 4 week absolute confirmed plateau where nothing's changing, meaning the scale is not dropping, and you are visibly not getting leaner. And you've proven that with photos compared to when you were dropping fat to now, 2 to 4 weeks later. And you've backed it up by doing tape measurements around the waist, the chest, your arms and your legs, and you've seen no difference there either. Because sometimes you can actually be shrinking body fat in the body and gaining more muscle, and the scale's just bouncing around, so you don't have a true confirmation if you're losing fat. But then you look at the photos and you go, oh wow, I actually can see more ab definition coming through my obliques. My chest is looking tighter. There's more definition between my shoulders and my biceps and my triceps. But the scale won't tell you that. So it's the guys who get and stay lean long term. They simply just stay consistent, even with the ups and downs happening week to week as the body's changing, as life's getting in the way. And I could show you 99% of weight charts is going to look like this, where there is constant spikes and fluctuations. So it can feel like an emotional roller coaster for everyone, and that's completely normal. So look, if you have dropped 10, 20, 30 pounds and you've started to relax on the habits a little bit, which can happen, life gets in the way, events, travel, trips, occasions, and it can be easy to just slack off a little bit. That's okay. Just catch it, refocus, and keep going. Because when you stay consistent through this zone, it will pay off and you will lose that next layer of body fat. It's only a matter of time. Sometimes it just means you need a good clean week or two of good sleep, low stress, no dinner parties or, evenings out with the alcohol, and then boom, all of a sudden the pounds just drop and your body tightens up, and that's what you just needed is a period of easiness, and that will come. So look, if you are stuck in one of these zones, it's really more about the fine tuning than the overhauling. It's not time to stop, give up, swap and change, quit the gym, do a new diet. It's really about fine tuning, and more importantly, developing a smarter system, one that's going to work even when your life is just hectic, busy and stressful. You need something that's robust and will stand the test of time. So I recommend just taking it one step at a time, focus on one thing, nail it, fine tune it so that you don't overwhelm yourself. And this is exactly why I built my business body blueprint routine over 5 core steps. Once you've implemented all of them into your routine, you'll have this repeatable system to break below 20% body fat and get visible abs just like my clients do. And this is just in as little as 2 to 3 strength workouts per week, with a flexible nutrition plan, meaning you can still have dinner with the family, business lunches, the odd networking drinks or date night with the missus, and no crazy restriction and making you go on some hardcore challenge that's going to completely deplete all your energy and ruin your ability to perform in your work. If you're interested to learn more about this, click the link right below this video in the description. It's right there. Once you have taken a look or grabbed a copy of the blueprint, then go watch this video next, so that you don't waste any more weeks, months, or years stuck above 20% body fat. Go check this video out now.